Hello and greetings to everyone seeing us at this point. You're welcome to the Royalty Imprint Academy. My name is Esther Christ. I am the Royal Teacher. Yes, of course, I am also a psychologist, a counselor, and a mental health advocate for children. I ensure that children are doing okay. I want to make sure that children are always fine, they're healthy, and they will thrive properly for them to be able to give their best to the society and their community where they are and function. All right, today we have a very interesting topic we are going to be discussing, and this is coming from where lots of parents have reached out to us to ask questions, especially because this is first term. This is the beginning of a new session. So that is why they want to know how to pick out a school, the right school for the children. Now, we are not going to be rushing issues to tell you everything you just have to do to pick out the right school for all the sections. We are going to start with the very early stages of the academic. So join us wherever you are and let us take on the session. Let's discuss all it's going to take. All you need to observe while you're in search of a school for your child. Yes, this might be coming now, but it is because I am unaware, we are aware that lots of schools have already gone into part of the session, part of the term already, and this is also coming from the place where most parents change school. As the head of a school, I find that most parents will change school. They come to the school, they want to enroll their children in the school, and then we get to ask them, why do you want to change from where your child was to this new school? And they're just clueless. We want to know, why are you changing? Sometimes they tell you, my child, I just want them to change environment. I just want this, I just want that. Well, some tell you, I don't know, I'm just enrolling my child. I think this is a good school, so I want to enroll my child. Now there are lots of things that you should be paying attention to, because whatever you do affects that child positively or negatively. So we should pay attention to every detail, every little thing that is going to affect the child. Yes, the school is important. The school is another, more like a huge determinant, the part of your child's life that can determine a lot of things in their future. So you should pay attention. You should be inquisitive. You should be intentional about any school you're choosing for your child. And once again, I welcome you to this session, and I hope you have a good time. You take on something home and you're going to be learning a lot. So get to writing materials. Let us start off immediately. This is the Realty Imprint Academy. What we do here is mentor children. We help parents understand some challenges their children may be going through. Of course, we also put you through some necessary skills which the child needs to learn while they grow and at different stages in life. And of course, we also discuss milestones that a child is expected to know or to achieve as they go on in life. So this today we are here to discuss some things that will help you to choose the right school. Some parents will keep going from one school to another. We don't want you jumping from different schools before your child gets to finish the early years foundation. You've changed about 3 schools, or before they finish their primary education, you've gone to 4 schools already. No, you're going to start early. You're going to know what is obtainable, what you are going to be getting as a parent, what the child needs. And of course, this topic is not exhaustive in one day. So we are going to keep coming back to discuss so many things that you need to look out for in the process of your child's education. So welcome to today's session. Yes, we are going to be sharing our screen with you as we are going to start. So let us Be attentive and get ready to learn. I want to share my screen so that you can follow me as I go. Yes, I just give me some few seconds. Give me some few seconds. I want to share my screen. Yes, we are up now. All right. So we have chosen the right school environment for your child, choosing the right school, the nursery, the early years for your child. All right. Next, we have that is our topic. We're going to be discussing our agenda. One, we're going to be looking at the objectives. Why? Want to know the reason. The second is the introduction, the reflection, and of course, our quotes and key concepts, conclusion, and of course, our assessments. Next, we have our objectives. At the end of this presentation, you should be able to understand the role of a school in a child's life. A child is a very important, it's very in the child's life and the child's education is a very important aspect of their life. And so therefore, you are expected to understand what is the role of a school. Do I want to just allow my child pass time in a place that I'm not there so that I can be able to meet up with my own targets? What would the child be doing when they are in that environment where you are not there? What is the purpose of a school? Next, we should be looking at how the environment can impact a child's development. Now, do you know that the place where a person is can impact their life, the quality of the life that they live? So, how the environment can impact, we're going to be looking at what the school's environment does to the psychology, the brain, the life of a child. So it is important that you know you're not just sending your child to the school for the sake of them leaving your home for a period of time. You're going to be also understanding what the school environment does to the life of a child, how to choose the right environment and nursery for your child. So that is the final stage of what we're going to be looking at. So we get to the introduction. Yes, from children, for children 0 to 3 years old. Research has indicated that what happens in the early years is the foundation for the long-term success of any child. Whatever happens, from the stage where a child is yet to be born, when the child is still in the stomach, the belly of the mother, that starts from there. The environment of the child begins right from there. And whatever happens from that stage could affect the future of that child. So imagine that some children are born blind, some children are born lame. You will ask yourself, what happened? And then you begin to hear maybe the mother had an accident, or maybe they took some substances that affected the child. So it starts right from the womb. So why do we want to take chances for our children when you put them in another person's care? You do not want to take that chance. You want to ensure that everything, anywhere the child is, the environment is the right environment for that child. So whatever happens in the early years of a child starts to form the foundation either for success or for failure of that child. And of course, we are looking at having the future of our children to be successful. And so whatever we are going to be doing, we should be intentional. 80% of the brain growth and development happens in the first 3 years. And we are looking at the nursery stages, the early years of a child, that is between 0 to 3 or 4 years. So whatever development, the 80% development of the brain, how the brain will react in the future, all the neurons, how they function in the brain. It is now they begin to make their pathway. It is now they begin to form the lines, the things, the feelings, the emotions, the way the child thinks, the way the child will see the world. It is at this stage that all of that starts to happen. And you don't want to play with the stage. Yes, a lot of parents do not know this. That is why we're bringing it your way. Some think that this child is still young. Let's just take him or her to a school, and when they grow, we'll start to teach them those things that they will need in the future. No, it starts from the very day that child was formed in the womb. You're going to be intentional. You're going to be very meticulous. You're going to be attentive to every detail. So, how the shape what shapes this shapes how a child sees the world. I already talked about that. And they also start to pick up different words, 1,000 words at that stage. So they pick up a lot of things at that stage, and you do not want to miss it. You do not want to take that stage for granted. You do not want to be just do anything within that stages. So it is very important that you pay keen attention. Selecting an appropriate nursery for your infant or toddler is a critical decision, as it significantly influences their developmental trajectory and early educational experience. So the experience this child is going to be gathering and using for the future, it's going to be formed at this early stages. So you do not just want to take your child to where things are not organized, where the school does not know exactly what they're doing. You're going to be shooting yourself on the leg. You're going to see that at the end of the day, your child will just be living their life like they don't care. Like everyone has been created to fulfill a to be focused and move towards the future of where they're going to. They're not supposed to be confused going from one stage or different aspects of life, trying to figure out things without a focus and a direction. If you do not know where you're going to, how do you even get there? That is what we're going to be doing for our children. We are going to be helping them to be focused in life. We're going to be giving them a sense of direction that is forming at the very early stages of their life. So it's important that we are very attentive. We are going to be reflecting on some things. Look at the picture that we have on the screen. We have picture A and we have picture B having the same kind of plants. Now we have the corn plants. You see that you observe that in picture A, the plants look more healthy. They are very fresh with the acceptable coloration. You can be able to tell that this plant is getting the right nutrients, is getting everything that it needs for its proper growth and development. But when we get to picture B, we observe that the leaves are changing color. The leaf is not as green as the one in picture A, and their height, if irrespective of the fact that they might be older than the picture in picture A, they look stunted. So you can be able to imagine and tell yourself, well, probably this crop is not getting enough nutrients that is needed. It's not getting the right atmosphere, everything, the environment where it is, everything is not complete for this plant to grow as healthy as it should. So we have plant A and plant B. They are both plants and they are both growing. So the important thing here is they are both growing. If you look at plant A is growing, plant B is growing. But now you look at the quality of the life that they have. You can see that one is doing well and the other is not doing very well. Now, most in a human life, this is not so obvious. A child that is not doing well in their mental capacity, abilities, may not necessarily be showing, because most of the time parents are not so keen to observe. So if you're so observant, you would probably pick out one or two things that are not going the way it should go. But some parents don't even know. They keep telling themselves, my child is developing, they are going to get used to it, or they're going to get to learn later. Everything is just fine. Now, this is an exception for a child that has a medical condition. So now we have these two group of plants. They are both growing, but something is not right with one. Something is not just going well. And if it is, you can easily tell that this plant is having a defection. Not getting the right and appropriate amount of nutrients can affect it. That is exactly how it happens in the life of a child. If this child is in an environment when things are not allowing them to grow developmentally how they should be, there is bound to be different things that you observe that the child will be lacking. So at this stage, the neurons are beginning at certain pathways. They are beginning to make sure that the thing that this child is learning, the ones that they know that is being used, that is being the child engages more with, is forming a permanent pathway. So you want to engage your child in an environment that they are exposed to lots of activities. We are going to get there. So let's continue further. We are saying that these are different stages of a plant. So we have the stage where this plant is just a seed in the ground, and we have the next stage where this plant has gone is beginning to sprout out of the soil, and we are seeing the stage where the plant with the seed has taken roots, and the roots are getting deeper and is growing. Of course, we get to the point where this plant starts to bring forth fruits, the necessary fruit for it. So we get to the place where these fruits are obvious and mature. This is exactly how the life of a child is. The child in the mother's womb getting all the nutrients, eventually this child comes out healthy. And of course, in the right environment, this child will continue to thrive. And if possibly, if this child maintains the right environment, they will continue to grow and at the right time begin to manifest different fruits. At that stage, sometimes parents wait to the stage where this child is supposed to begin to bear fruits, and they look out for this fruit and it's not there, and they start to scream, there's a problem, there's a challenge. No, you don't wait till that point. You start right early enough, right from the time the child was in the womb. And when you take that child from after that stage to a different environment, you also ensure that the child is getting the appropriate nutrients that is needed for their development, the right nutrients that will aid and process them to the stage where when the right fruits are supposed to start to manifest, you start to see them. And then that way you would know that this child has been growing in the right environment. So let's continue. Developmental stages of the brain. We have some developmental stages of the brain. Okay, we are going to be looking at the stage of birth to 2 years old. The brain stem begins to form according to the brain stages. We have under intelligence domain, the child is seeking self-preservation. This is 0 to 2 years old. The child wants everything that will preserve him or her, will begin to try to get things, attachment. But that's not the stage we want to focus on. We want to focus on stage 6 to 7. If you can see that part under intelligence domain, emotional and social emotional relationship, this starts to build up. The child starts to develop. They want to create social relationships. They want to express their emotions. They want to see other people. They want to learn, get attached, and all of that. Under the Piaget cognition, you see where the child starts to, the dreaming child, the child starts to have dreams. They want to explore the world. So at this stage, you do everything for this child so that they can have as much as their experiences should be broad as much as possible. This child starts to seek autonomy, and they start to experience shame. They start to feel doubt of themselves. So you, as a parent, as an educationist, you do everything to reassure this child, to help them understand themselves and what is happening, exposing them to different experiences in the world, experiences in the environment, and about themselves, about the next person by themselves, by their side. Love and affection. So they begin to make sure, they begin to seek for love. They want to be certain, they want to be certain that they are getting love at the right amount. They want to explore, they want to experience love, they want to share. So they look up to their parents. They begin to build trust. They begin to build trust to be able to ensure that they can trust you. That's the time that a child will know a person that really cares for them. The parents, they will know, oh, this is my parents. You see them sometimes at this stage, from that 2 years and above, parents take the children to school. They don't want to be in school environment because they are not sure if they will get the same amount of love that they've been enjoying from their parents. So they start to withdraw. You see this attachment, kind of, they are so attached to their parents. So if the school is a very good school, if the environment they are being taken to is a comfort, the right environment, you will see that they will also do everything to ensure that child is comfortable, to ensure that child feels accepted, feels love, and all of that. So the brain of the child is beginning to work. We're going to reflect more again. Look at this particular picture. We are looking at brain development factors. That's the influences of the brain, factors that influences the brain. So we have nutrition, we have genetics, we have physical exercise, we have environmental stimulation. Now that is where we are looking at. And of course, we have early childcare experiences, we have socio-economic factors, we have parental environment, we have education and learning. So these are the major two things we're going to be looking at today: education and learning, and of course, environmental stimulation. So how do you stimulate this child? How does the environment of the child stimulate them so that they can learn things that are relevant, that bring success to them in the future? You don't want to put your child in an environment that will suppress what is going to be helpful for the child in the future. You don't want to put your child in the place where the brain is dull and not active enough. You want to stimulate the brain of this child so that the child can be able to give you their best. The brain is an engine. That is why they created the computer to simulate the brain, because the brain can do a lot of things, and especially at the early stages, it's important that we do everything possible to help the brain to be stimulated enough to be able to explore as much as possible. According to Maria Montessori, she said, the environment itself will teach the child. If every error he makes is manifest to him without the intervention of parent or teacher, who should remain a quiet observer of all that happens. So if this child is put in the right environment, because of the way things are patterned, because of the way things are done, because of the ambience of that environment, this child would naturally connect. The brain is very intelligent, and so of course is going to start to look at things, begin to understand, reflect on them. How is this thing done? At so time, this is what happens. So at every point in time, this child does not get something right, you don't even need the parent to jump in. You don't even need the teacher to jump in, because the environment has been set in a way that helps the child understand patterns in the world. The child would eventually begin to make adjustments and over time learn. So the environment is a key factor in the life of every child, and it is important that we pay attention to the environment where our children are. I want us to look at the definition of nursery. Nursery is an educational daycare system for children attending preschool, whether in a private or public school setting. Children commence attending school daycare nurseries from the age of 6 months to 5 years. So some children, because of the nature of their parents' engagements, they release the children into a daycare system as early as 6 months old. And some other parents wait until the child is probably 1, 2 years old. And of course, from there, the child remains in the nursery system, the early years educational foundation system, until the child is about 4 to 5 years old. Now, let's look at some benefits of taking your children to the nursery system. The first one, nursery lays the right foundation for their progress and future achievements. The nursery would always start. There are different plans that helps the child develop from one stage to another. So at that nursery environment, if you take your child to the right nursery environment, that starts their early learning foundation and the progress that they are going to be making. So it is outlined from one stage to another stage, and the child keeps making progress. Of course, they're looking at the future achievements they are bound to get. Now we have nurseries provide an environment where children acquire independence, creativity, and develop an ability to problem solve and communicate effectively. In the nursery system, because we have adults working with these children, so the environment is bound to create a level of independence. Now it's not mommy to child, mommy to child. So we have probably one teacher or one facilitator attending to at least 3 children. So this, at that point when that facilitator is not attending to a particular child, the child learns, okay, the last time my facilitator held my hand, this was what she did, and so I should follow suit and do the same thing. So they start to create and acquire some level of independence. Of course, creativity. They start to explore. They want to do one or two things, and they watch their facilitator do it, and they do it in their own unique way. And of course, they also develop the ability to problem solve. Oh, my bag fell to the ground, so I have to pick it up and drop it back on the table where it is supposed to be. So they start to think. Their mind is exploring, is open to different challenges. But if this child were to stay in the house, probably mommy may not know that at some point some challenges that come to these children should be allowed for them to solve it, to help themselves and not just wait. So immediately there's mommy, the bag falls down, mommy would pick it up quickly and not allow the child to face any kind of situation that will challenge this child. And these are the things that build up the mind, the muscles of the mind. If you allow a child to think, what should I do next? How do I go about it? The muscles that help them to solve problems kick up, and it starts to strengthen that pathway immediately. And of course, it's to communicate. The child starts to tell the attendant, the class attendant, I want to do this. Can I go to the lavatory? Can I write? I want to sleep? So they start to learn how to express themselves and communicate effectively. A nursery introduces and embeds the importance of routines and the hands of creative invitations to play, and there's no doubt ignites a passion for learning. So this child is allowed to be creative with different things. You see those play-dohs, you see those colorful balls, they start to engage those children to explore, go outside, play with sand, do this, and the children are always active. You see children in nursery to school, they are allowed to play, they are allowed to explore, because in the process, their mind is active and working. Why does this have to be soft? Why is this hard? Why is this liquid? Why does this feel soft? And all of those things, the mind is learning. Okay, everything does not have to be hard. Everything does not have to be soft. This has to be in this manner. This has to be in this way. And of course, from time to time, they are learning. Everything is not liquid, and the mind is exploring, and they're allowed to play. And of course, in the process, they also invent their own play. So you'll be amazed sometimes when I visit our nursery classes. I just watch them, and I want to see what child is at that stage or at that point trying to be very innovative. And then I just smile. I learn from them as well. It's a beautiful sight to behold, actually. So it is important that we allow our children be in the right environment. It is a safe place where children experience diversity, explore differences, and discover the value of true friendship. So very soon they are going to be forming friends, this and getting friends, getting to make new friends. So they'll be able to identify this person sits with me every day on the by my side, and so I like how they write. I like how their hair is done. It's not the same with mine. They begin to explore and see that the world is not all the same. Now, that is what nursery does for your child. So it helps them explore differences in the world. And of course, they start to make friends. They start to say, oh, this person does not look exactly like me. It does not look like mommy. Oh, there could be different other faces around. A nursery supports and encourages children to confidently explore the world around them. A good nursery would allow the children different aspects. They will introduce different environments to the child at different points. So at some point, they take the children outside to a place that is just all filled with grasses, and the children play there. They lie down, they roll. Of course, the environment has to be safe enough for the child to be able to play without harm. So another place, you allow the children feel the sand. Sometimes you give them liquids and then they play with it, they touch with it. This all encourages the child to explore different parts of the world. When this child leaves that environment and sees water, they remember, in my nursery class, I saw a pool where we were allowed to dip our hands inside a large bowl or something, and then we explored. So this is not different from that because it's also liquid. So that is how their minds are being enlightened by the day. Follow me, let's continue. Nurseries provide stimulating educational activities which are structured around preparing children for compulsory education when they reach the age of 5 and above. So nursery starts to prepare this child. So we are not just here to learn ABCD, we are here to get our minds exposed. We're here to learn skills that will expose us to, when we start to get to the real educational activities, we don't look like no more. We have learned so many things. We have been able to explore so much. So when you're introducing what you're going to be teaching us much later in life, we are going to be following through. We won't be looking at you like, what are you saying? So that is what the nursery environment does for the child. The nursery environment does not just teach the alphabet or the numbers. There are lots of other skills that children learn within the nursery environment. Now let's go to choosing the right environment, the right nursery for your child. The first thing to do is to identify your child's needs. Children have needs. Lots of children are different. So you cannot say my first child, this is how this child was, and probably does not have needs. So therefore, there is had different needs. So therefore, I should apply the same needs to all the other children. No, you're going to be looking at this other child and you're going to learn about their specific individualized needs. What do they want? What can you do for them differently? How do you choose the right nursery for the needs of this child? Understanding and meeting your child's needs when they start nursery is an extremely important aspect. This will help a smooth transition because some children are very clingy. So you would look at what kind of environment, how do I help my child transit from being with me to being with another person in a totally different environment. So you're going to start to identify the needs of your child. It's important to remember that your child is unique and different, and so they need support. They need support that could differ from your other children. So don't use the experience of one of your child, of course, to label the other children that you're going to be having. So you're going to be paying attention to the things that your child needs to be able to transit properly. So some children might feel anxious that they are leaving home when separated from their parents initially. So in our nursery session, the very first and second week, when children within the ages of 2 resume, or even in the crèche, they are anxious. They don't feel good that they are going to be leaving their parents, the person they are very used to, and meet somebody else. No, they want to continue staying with mommy. They want to stay around mommy every time. So you're going to know exactly what your child needs. And then you will need plenty of reassurances for this child. A child that is anxious, you have to keep reassuring them that you're going to come back at a certain point in time and you're going to get there. You need to be patient with this child. You don't just say, but why are you crying? Look at this person is not crying. No, that person does not have the same need as your child. That child is quite different from your child. You're going to be patient with this child. You're going to reassure them that they will get all the love that they need, that mommy is not so far away, mommy is coming back, or daddy is going to be here at such a point in time. This person you're going to stay with, this environment is close to the home. The way mommy will treat you, they would also treat you. So this child needs to be reassured. You need so much patience. So you need so much reassurance to enable before you take your leave. Then you look at how the things, other things you can help the child, the needs of your children. So if the child drinks water a lot, if your child uses the toilet at some particular point in time of the day, all of these things you're going to ensure are there provisions by the school environment to help the child have access to these needs. So you will check all of what your child, what do this child need? Do they need a change of clothes? Do they sleep at a particular time because they are still young? Most nurseries are advised to have where children will have take a nap at least. So do they have such place? Do your child need to go to bed at some time in the day? So all of these things are what you're going to be identifying. And then you look out for the school that can cover up, at least even if it's not all, the very most important ones and the major of the needs of your child. So it's very important you don't just take your child to anywhere and you feel that your child should be able to cope just like that. When you understand this, it can be helpful to decide whether to choose a nursery that your child where your child will be comfortable. Sometimes your child does not like seeing so many people. So when you take your child to nursery, ask them, how many children are in this place? How many facilitators? Or if you want your child to overcome that, you find a way. Then you look out for it. It's something that you're meticulous about. You write these needs down. And of course, one after the other, you check them out. So you pay attention to your child's words and actions when you're going to release them. These are little things that sometimes parents do not care about. So when I see parents just come, leave their children and just start running, they're rushing to work, they're rushing to meet up with an appointment and all of that. Pay more attention. Listen to your children. Give them the love they require and let them begin to eventually, gradually learn that this is another stage of their life that they need to uh, to to blend into eventually. So with time, you're going to see that it becomes more easier for that child. You can now come, leave the child, and then you go, and the child will be fine. So we are going to be looking at the next thing is identify your values. As a parent, what are your values? What are the values that you hold in high esteem, you hold so dear, those things that if they are changed, you do not have them as values anymore? So what are those things? List them out. Of course, as a family, we always encourage you to have your family values. So you look out for a school that has at least 80 to 90% of those values, because they are going to be implemented, impacted in the life of your child. Whatever are the values of the school, it will definitely, environment can impact the life of your child. If you take your child to an environment where they do things that you do not accept, it's eventually your child will start doing that thing. Your child would obviously start to do it. There is a time a parent was complaining to us when she came to change her child's school, and I asked her, why do you want to change? Why are you changing this child's school? And she said that she took the child to a school. They do not really sing a kind of song in their home, and one day the child came back singing such music, and she asked the child, this from? We don't sing this in the house. And of course, I limit the places I take you to. Of course, I'm not against the fact that this child is in the world and they'll pick up things eventually in their life. But then again, the parent was meticulous. And she said when the child eventually told her that it was from the school environment, and she was like, okay, she went extra to ask questions. Was it that maybe a child in that environment sang the song? But she found out that it was actually the school that initiated the music. So she said, no, if my child is going to be here and the school allows for this, then I would not allow my child to be here. So that was why she decided to change the school, because eventually this child is going to be listening to that song. But let it not be an environment that is majorly created to impact in a child's life. So if this environment is the major aim of this environment is to impact, definitely the child is going to pick up things that you don't even intend to directly teach to the child. So that is how it works. So you identify your values and you check if the school have similar values as yours. And then so that you don't come back later and start regretting or taking the child from one school to another. Now we're going to be looking at location and convenience. Your location, it's important to ensure that the location where you take your child to is not so inconveniencing, it's not too far from where you can easily have access to your child. So you should also check, is this convenient? How does it impact our routine? Oh, if I'm not in the school environment, how long does it take me? Would I be able to always meet up with the distance? So it's important to check how convenient and the location. Is there stress in the process of taking my child to this place? How much stress do I have to go through? Will I be able to put up with it over a longer period of time? All of these things you need to sit down to calculate it. Because if you think, oh, let's see how it goes, eventually you're going to be tired. And the last drop will be for you to change the school of the child. And of course, you have interrupted a process. I do not always encourage parents when they come to me. One of the first questions we ask as ask our prospective parents is, why do you want to change? Why is important? Why? We want to know. Because obviously, if we take you in, you probably would use because of the same reason and also change. So when you tell us the why, we begin to analyze, is it something we can be able to work better so that that reason does not come up in the future for you to also change? So it's important you check out your convenience and your location when choosing the right nursery environment for your child. And of course, we want to also look at accreditation. So there are some schools that are not accredited to teach the early years, the young children. Remember, we mentioned that 80% of the brain is developed from 0 to 3 years old, 3 years of age for the children. So you don't want to get to a school that has not been properly accredited, that has not been checked by the government of your environment to check it right for a child to be in that environment and be healthy and acquire the right knowledge, acquire the right sensation, acquire the right experiences for their development and growth. You do not want to go there. It's always important that you ask the school, what's how go to your government, the governing body of education in your location, ask them, what does it take for a school to be accredited? And check if that school has whatever it takes. And of course, ask the school for the accreditation certificate. A school that is accredited would not have anything to hide, would just come up and then they give it to you. So it is important that you make sure that the school, because sometimes government might go around and shut down schools that haven't been accredited. And what if you are in a school without knowing all of the information that are necessary, and one day you take your child to the school and you find that that school has been shut down by the governing body of your state or your organization or your society? So it's not going to be right. The child is going to it could even be traumatizing for the child, because probably he or she has gotten used to the environment. They are so attached to that environment. They are doing well, they are having a good time and a good experience in the environment, and suddenly that attachment is taken away from them. You don't want your child to have that. A high quality nursery with accreditation goes beyond teaching ABCDs and one, two, threes. It sets the stage for a lifelong passion for learning. So it's not just about the one, two, threes or the ABCs. a school that is accredited, like I mentioned earlier, there are things that are going to be checked off for the school. They are going to be looking at so many things, so many factors to accredit the school, to ensure that the school will be accredited and have the value enough to be a school, to be accepting children. When choosing your children's school, placing emphasis on quality and making a note of the accreditation is a step towards providing the best start for your child. So do your own research and check if the environment for your child is right. For We're going to be taking a short break for now, and we come back to where we are. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a challenge here. Just a bit, just